Hello everyone, and welcome to our Circle and Salve Women. For today's talk, we are going to be discussing what is your New Year's resolution and what will you do to keep it. And so for me, I personally am not a New Year's resolution person. I always feel like I'm making daily goals, weekly goals mentally, and when I envision something, I'll post it. I talked in my article about putting up a dress that I would see every time I walked into my closet, and so that way when I was pregnant with each of my children, at least the first 2 or 3, I would see that. It would tell me this is going to be the dress that you're going to fit into shortly after you have your child. And it was always this goal that I did for myself, that it just created this really nice imagery of what I was going to look like after I had a child. And I realized that that had been passed on to my children as well. And I remember one of my daughters, very proud of her, that she had actually placed this one Hershey package, just a small one. Her favorite was at that time cookies and cream. And all of a sudden, she had placed it in my room and said, "Mom, don't let me eat that until I win district." And I said, "Okay, it's right there." Well, she won district. She never ate the cookies and cream. And it really made me smile on the inside, because I realized that whether subliminally sending her certain types of ways to create your goals, or that it was just innate in her, just as perhaps it was innate in me to set goals, it's not about the prize. It is about what you have created for yourself, where you say, this is what I'm going to get at the end. And when you get to the end, you're basically getting there, having accomplished what it was that you stated to accomplish, and it no longer becomes the prize. It's more of like, okay, I've done this, what next? And that is the mentality for me, I believe, that pushes you through. And yet everybody's different. And I realize that when I go hit the gym, I see people from December, sometimes earlier, right after Thanksgiving or so, and all the way through February, they will be pushing hard, whether they want to gain weight, whether they want to lose weight, whether they want to gain muscle or lose muscle, lean down or buff up a bit. To me, it's always that time where I see that there's more traffic, and I'm sure other people who have, hit the gym see that as well. It's all of a sudden, it's this time where you're saying to yourself, okay, in this new year, I'm going to sculpt my body in the way that I want to sculpt it. And yet by the end of February, I all of a sudden start to see back into that normal average population of people who normally go to the gym. It just all of a sudden starts to dwindle, the numbers that were there after February. And I have to wonder, okay, spring's coming, summer's coming, how come people aren't even continuing? And yes, there are those that finish all the way through summer and so forth, but yet it becomes so minimal. It's not the same group of people from the beginning to the end. There's not that many that then finish through all the way through. And I can tell that some of them have, rather than met their goal, they actually go backward. They gain more weight, or that they just start to go to the gym less, and they don't behave in a way that I feel as if they had met their goal. It's almost like they're just trying to push through because perhaps they paid their membership and they started, and then they feel like, at least I'm going to the gym, and they become complacent about their daily routine of going to work out. Whether they're on their phone and they're on that cycle as they're on their phone, which is a good thing, at least you're off the couch. But then I wonder, was this what you envisioned in the very beginning? And so that is what I want to talk about. Just recently, I remember coming across a quote, and you know how I love just anything positive that gives us light. And so there's this one quote that is by Ward, and it is where it states, "The pessimist complains about the wind, the optimist expects it to change, the realist adjusts the sails." And to me, that really last part, the realist adjusts the sails, is what I want to focus on, because to me, we know that the pessimists, typically they're the ones that are really good talkers. They're the ones who point out what could be wrong. We need those. We need those people that, you know, as my students in class, I will thank the person that is complaining just as much as the person that's working hard, because I know that there's a balance in a classroom. And the same thing as raising children. Sometimes there are the people, their role is to voice out and point out something if it's not right. And they're the ones who won't hesitate. And so for me, it's important to have that balance, that harmony. Whether you see it to be a harmonious, it is something that keeps me in check at whatever role I'm taking in on that time, during that time. And so when the pessimist just complains, you know, yes, you want to say, okay, thank you for voicing that out. I appreciate that. But then there's the optimist that says, yes, we can do it. And so of course they're going to expect it to change. But the two are not being as active at all. One is voicing, you know, something's wrong. The other one is saying, no, we can still do it. We can still make change and so forth. But the realist is the one who gets up and says, let me go ahead and adjust the sails so that we get somewhere, we go somewhere, and we're getting to our destiny. And that is where I feel that mentally, psychologically, perhaps, you know, maybe spiritually, our body cannot follow if we do not have a real vision, and so that reality does not kick in. And so for me, enable for us to really complete any type of resolutions we have. And yeah, I get it, you know, it's that time where everyone deems it to be the right time to create a resolution, and because it's a new year coming around. But we don't want to be in a moment where we're doing this and yet we are bogging ourselves down and our spirit's feeling low by the end of February because we haven't met it. And we have to say to ourselves, if I didn't meet it before, if I failed in the past, and maybe perhaps the word fail is a very strong word, but you know, if I had not reached my goal, what stopped me? And a biggest part is to not have the steps. Because there are students I hear all the time that say, when I get older, I'm going to be an MVP player. Awesome, right? And, you know, thinking about being valued. Yes, you're definitely valuable. Yes, you're definitely a very important person in this world. And don't you forget that. And you should always set the tone and the respect for yourself. You know, I'm going to have this car. I'm going to have. Yes, definitely say that you're going to have it. Now, where are your actions today that will get you there? And then you hear silence, you know, because it's great to be a dreamer. There is absolutely nothing wrong with dreaming. And yet there are those that go, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. And if I need a step 3.5, because the step 4 is going to take a little bit longer, what is that going to look like? What's my backup plan so that I know I will get there? That is the piece that we really, really need to think about, is if you are going to be making another New Year's resolution, what are your steps to making it happen? So that I would suggest, if you are going to hit the gym and if you are planning to lose weight or gain muscle or lose muscle and lean down, what is it, or lose mass and lean down, what is it that you're going to do that? Are you doing the research to actually do so? Because I know there are times where I get carried away, and my arms are one of those that if I start to get carried away and I start to go, oh wow, they did, you know, that many pounds, I bet I could do that many pounds too, because I push myself that way. I realize all of a sudden my arms are getting bigger, and I've never wanted to have my arms get bigger. I just wanted them to be trimmed and lean down. And then I have to step back and go, what was I doing? That wasn't my plan, that was their plan. And so I had to be realistic with myself in what works for me. And I've always known what works for me. And yes, sometimes we digress, we regress, and we just go ahead and do it someone else's way, and we don't follow our own path that our heart is telling us. And again, that's the key, is do you have a path that will get you to your goals so that it is realistic, that you're not just a dreamer, but as I would say to my children and my students, that you are a doer. What are you doing to make it happen? It's one thing to dream about it, it's another thing to make it happen. And so finally, I'm trying to make these videos short, so I think I'm doing a pretty good job. the last piece is, then if you get there, celebrate, right? Celebrate and give yourself a pat on the back, give yourself a hug, and then say to yourself, what am I going to do to maintain this? Because you're always going to have many, many different things in life that are going to then test you to see if you can maintain. And so I'm going to end it with my memory of my husband when we first had our first 3 kids. He would always create this matrix. Now, mind you, we were very young, and he was finished his college, and I was just starting. But I remember, in just a lined paper, he would tape to the wall before a child was born, all the way to when they were done with college, high school, and then college. And he would literally figure out what years, and then he was already envisioning and creating a plan for each of those years and what they had to attain in between, in each of those years. And then all of a sudden we got comfortable, because as we were obtaining all of those goals and the blessings were coming in and they were just rolling in, we got comfortable with our goals, that it was almost like we met them, and yet we didn't know how to maintain it. And all of a sudden, sometimes when you think that you're there, it's never over. You have to constantly maintain. And so just recently I saw that he had created another one, and he posted on the wall, and I had to tell him, I'm really proud of you that you're back in creating this matrix. And like he said, we got sidetracked, we got distracted. But it's a beauty to know it's never too late to jump back on and say, let's do it again. It was good the last time. Let's just make sure this happens again. And it's so thankful, because our younger 2 are now at that point where we can plan and continue to plan and continue to enjoy our blessings. And I hope that you are thinking the same way for yourself. So what that we derail? Life happens. You have to tell yourself that. Don't give up on February. If you don't run into that goal that you said you're going to set by February, don't do that to yourself. Just say to yourself, get there, get back up, adjust the sail again, adjust the sail again, adjust the sail again, and just be real that you are human, and no matter what, your goal is there for you to maintain. And if your goal tends to pull back a little bit, guess what? Just work harder, and maybe it'll even be better the next day and better the next day. Just strive to always continue and never give up. So in the words of my mother, God bless us all. Stay amazing. No matter what that is defined in your heart, don't put yourself down. Don't let yourself down. It's a new year, and you have to take the blessings in and continue to be that light, because there's always going to be darkness, and there's always going to be things that are going to try to bog you down. Don't let it. And if you feel that it is, again, it's okay to say to yourself, all right, I let that happen, but I'm aware of it now, and now I'm back. And then just keep going forward, because you are your own light. And so continue to be you, and continue to love you. And we're coming into a new year, so love what you are leaving behind, or that you're moving away from, because it's going to be better going forward. No matter what you're feeling, the anxiety, the thoughts, it's always going to get better, because that's what you're striving for. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you next time.